بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. الليلة مع أحد الكبار العظماء وإن كان أسلم متأخرا. Tonight inshallah one of the giants of Islam, Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Haarith ibn Abd al-Muttalib. Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Haarith ibn Abd al-Muttalib. His grandfather is the grandfather of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Harith. Al-Harith is the brother of Abu Talib, brother of Abu Lahab, brother of Al-Abbas, brother of Hamza. All of them are children of Abd al-Muttalib. And he used to be the best friend. كان ترب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He was born around the same time, like you know, somebody is same age like yours. You grow up together, best friends. That's before Islam. But subhanallah, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was his best friend. He was the first to accept Islam from the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he became the Prophet. Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Harith, he was one of his best friends, and he is his cousin, but he did not accept Islam like early. It was like 20 years later, more than 15, 17 years, close to 20 years later that he accepted Islam. But from day one, you know, he changed it. He shifted from being a best friend for the Prophet ﷺ to be worst enemy. He was sha'ir, a poet, and he used to attack the Prophet ﷺ in every possible way to attack him. With his sha'ir, poetry, with physically and everything. He changed, subhanallah. لم يكتب الله عز وجل له الهداية وهذا يعني من المقادير التي يعجب لها الإنسان. You see, uncles of the Prophet ﷺ, one of his uncles, Hamza, Sayyid al-Shuhada, عز الله بالإسلام. Another uncle is Abu Talib. He supported the Prophet ﷺ a lot, but he died as non-Muslim. And he is in the hellfire. Lowest level in the hellfire, but still in the hellfire. Abu Lahab, even though from the lineage, from the عائلة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, from Bani Hashim. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about him, تبت يد Abi Lahab وتب, like Allah criticized or said, perish the hands of Abu Lahab and he will perish. The lineage, the whatever category that you have here in this life, even though you are from the family of the Prophet ﷺ, it doesn't benefit you. It doesn't help you. Unless you have a good action. Unless you have a good work and you prove it. Nothing goes in here because you just happen to be born Muslim, to be from such a good family, to look nice, to have more money. Nothing of this benefit nobody. وَمَنْ أَبْطَأَ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ وَمَنْ أَبْطَأَ بِهِ عَمَلُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. If your action is not that good, your lineage or your family, that's just as an example. None of this will help you, will benefit you. This person, Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Harith, was one of the worst enemies of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam amongst many of his own family members and other people, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala katab al-hijrah, they migrated to Medina. He was in war against Muslims. All of these wars, he was one of the leaders of those wars. Until almost close to Fath Mecca, the opening or the liberation of Mecca around year 7 or 8, year 8, when the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in his way coming from Medina to Mecca. And that was the shirk, and the camp of the mushrikun was declining from years back. It was declining, going down. So Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Harith was still in Mecca, and he didn't know what to do. He said, well, told his wife, he said, let's get our son, let's get our belongings, and let's leave Mecca, because I don't know which category of people that I would belong to. Our camp is almost vanishing, and this is like my worst enemy, and I don't have any. If I stay here, I'd probably be killed or something. People around him, you know, kept talking to him, said, is it not yet time for you to consider this? هذا يعني محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم قد دانت له العرب والعجم وبلغ دينه للآفاق. Is it not yet time for you? Everybody's accepting it, and Allah gave him this, you know, victory over everybody. Think about it. And this was the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cast Islam in his heart. He decided to take his son Ja'far and his wife, and he said, let me go and meet the Prophet ﷺ in my way. He met him in Al-Abwa, somewhere between Mecca and Medina, as the Nabi ﷺ was coming with a great, you know, army coming to liberate Mecca. And he didn't know how to start. he has been an enemy for the Prophet after being one of his best friends and being one of his family members, and he did every possible way to harm the Prophet and Muslims. He didn't know how to meet the Prophet. He didn't have any way. Sometimes when we sin a lot, when we have a lot of mistakes, we don't know how to go. Not to the Prophet, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the key point is you go. Let's go. Even if, no matter how much sins, how much deviation, how much astray you got, you need to come back. It's never too late. As long as you are alive, you're not going to be worse than somebody who opposed the Prophet of Allah for years and years and years with every possible way. But yet he decided to make the decision, the best decision he made in his life. It was not easy for Nabi Sallallahu to accept him from the beginning. He came to talk to him. فَأَعْرَضَ عَنْهُ Nabi Sallallahu بِوَجْهِهِ. He first of all, big army, he tried to get to the Prophet Sallallahu straight because he realized if any of the Muslims would recognize him, they would probably kill him. Because that's one of the worst enemies, and now he's coming all the way. And here he decided to hide a little bit until he meets the Prophet because he knew, I need to talk to the Muhammad Sallallahu straight. And he managed to get all the way to the Prophet. All that he did Sallallahu is just he turned away from him. He didn't want to talk to him. It's not easy. It happened to me and you when you have one of your best friends, you used to be best friends, and all of a sudden, subhanAllah, you become like, and for no reason. So he didn't accept him at the beginning, but he didn't do anything to him. He kept trying to come back to the Prophet. He went to Al-Abbas, his uncle, and the uncle of the Prophet, and he said, "Ya try to talk to Muhammad alayhi salam." He went to Ali radiallahu anhu. In one narration, both of them, they said, well, we saw the Prophet turning away, and nobody, we respect him so much, nobody can talk to him, nothing. But Ali, in another narration, told him, well, I tell you something, if you do it, you will get it. Go to the Prophet ﷺ min tilqa'i wajhi, from like his front, from his face, and tell him, I just say to you what the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam said to him. تَاللَّهِ لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا وَإِن كُنَّا لَخَاطِئِينَ. I tell you what the brothers of Yusuf told him, by Allah, Allah has preferred you over us, will give you victory over us, and I was wrong. So Ali radiallahu anhu told him, well, he said, if you say that, he will forgive you right away, because he doesn't want ما كان يحب أن يكون أحد أحسن منه قولا أو فعلا. He told him that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't want anybody to be better than him as far as saying or action. Again, this is for us. Need to compete in goodness with others. Many times you compete in things that does not benefit. Compete in dunya. Compete in mata'am qaleel. We need to set it right. Let's compete with the musallin, the munfiqeen, those who spend. Let's compete with any good thing so we collect more. You don't want anybody to be better than you. You don't want to have anybody like win the race towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and towards Jannah. So he told him, go to him and tell him, I tell you what the brothers of Yusuf told him, Allah has preferred you, will give you victory over us, and we were wrong. The Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, Allah told us in the Quran, what did he say? لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وأرحم الراحمين. No blame on you today. Allah forgive you, and He is the most forgiving. That's what Yusuf alayhi salam told his brothers, and that's exactly what the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him too. He tried, before he do that, he tried many times. Salama radiallahu anha talked to the Prophet, said, Ya Rasulullah, لا يكن كان هو وابن عمتي لا يكن ابن عمك وأخو ابن عمتك أشقى الناس بك. Like, you forgive a lot. This is the good opportunity to forgive. This is your closest people to you. And this is another lesson for us, الشفاعة, نشفع. Sometimes, one of your brothers is not able to help to fix his affairs. اشفعوا تؤجروا. You might help him. You might intercede, if he has something from the masjid, maybe you work as a mediator or something, if he wants something from somewhere. Sometimes when you work as a shafi'a, mediator or something, if you get in, you will help. Do not deprive this kind of help to reach to others. So Salama did her best, Ali radiallahu anhu he did his best, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam forgive him. And he tried, from that time on, he tried to prove, to يكفر Allah min khataya. He tried to work as hard as possible to do good. So he will, that will wipe out the so many sins he got before that. Right after the liberation of Mecca, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam left to Hunayn, Ghazwat Hunayn, where he had a big battle with the people living southern of Mecca, Ta'if and Hawazin and those areas. And Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Haarith, he was one of the very few people, because Muslims at the beginning, they were, they become like, they like so much that they are so big in number, and they said, we're not going to be defeated today because of number or anything, but Allah Jalla gave them a lesson, and they lost at the beginning of the war. But very few people, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and very few people with him, they were in the middle of, there was an ambush, and we discussed this in detail, and he was in the middle of that. يَصُولُ وَيَجُولُ كَاللَّيْلِ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ. He got his sword, and he was fighting so hard, and he did not retreat, with a very few people with him, Al-Abbas and Abu-Sufiyaan ibn Al-Harith was there. They were there until the Muslims managed to come back, and Nabi said, أَنَا النَّبِيُّ لَا كَذِبْ أَنَا ابْنُ عَبْدِ الْمُطَّلِبِ, I am the Prophet, no lies, I am the son of Abd al-Muttalib, because it was a rumor that he was killed, and Muslims started coming back around their leader, and they won. Abu Sufyan, trying to do his best one day, like in ibadah, he excelled, he did very good. Aisha radiallahu anha, one day she looked at him, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam trying to introduce him to her. She said, do you know who is that? He said, this is Ibn Ammi, and he is one of the best people. He's the first to come to the masjid and the last to leave. First to come, like early before the prayer, and the last to leave. And he got himself busy with the Quran and to gain as much as possible from Islam. We might have, left a lot of opportunities or lost a lot of opportunities in the past. But again, we have a lot of opportunities. Let's look at the future. Let's look at the present and look at the future, and let's work hard for something that will be beneficial for us here in this dunya and for others here in this dunya and in the akhirah. Never look back. Always look in the present and in the future, for the present, for the future, inshallah. Just like Abu Sufiyaan ibn Al-Harith, and he lived when his son passed away, he was so sad for him, just like other Muslims. At the time of Umar radiallahu anhu al-Faruq, he made Hajj. Abu Sufiyaan made Hajj ibn Al-Harith. He made Hajj, and in his way back, or sometime shortly after that, he started like digging a grave, and everybody was asking, why you are digging this grave? He said, that's my grave. 3 days later, he passed away. And he told his family members, do not cry for me, because by Allah, since I accepted Islam, مَا تَلَطَّخَتْ يَدِي بِمَعْصِيَةٍ. I know for sure I have never done any sin or any ma'asiyah. Rahimahullah ta'ala, this is, a kind of approach that we need to attain. Let's make tawbah and make it nasuh. Always remember that we correct our way and keep it correct all the way, inshallah ta'ala. لا نتلطخ بالمعاصي وكذا وإن حدث لنا, if we happen to have some sins, باب التوبة دائما مفتوح, the door of tawbah is always open. نسأل الله عز وجل أن يحشرنا مع هؤلاء الصالحين ويحيينا على خطاهم ويتوفنا على نهج حبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. May Allah عز وجل make us live and follow in the footsteps, and may Allah عز وجل gather us with the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم and his friends in the Jannah. اللهم آمين. جزاكم الله خير وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.